Hi, I'm Michael.
And I'm Kate, and today we are dishing with you from Equinox Restaurant, located at 818 Connecticut Avenue, right next to the White House.
We're here with Stephanie Green. She is a reporter journalist for the Washington Times. Welcome.
Thank you. I was just thinking, Kate, because I don't know you quite as well, but Kate and I have known each other for a long time, thanks to a lot of events happening around DC, and I was just thinking that I think we've got pretty much every cause covered between all the parties we've been to. Every terminal illness, every children's cause, every almost extinct animal. What have we missed? I think if there were an event for Save the Rich, we would go to it.
I think the cause is me now. Can I be the next cause? Can we be the next cause?
I think save the dolphins, save the whales.
Save the journalists.
Save the journalists. That should be our next event.
Is the next thing that we should
be our
have.
next event. So.
Actually, Washington, D.C. is a very philanthropic city.
Yes.
And it's also a city with a lot of news going on, so that's why we need people like you.
That's the idea. And
that's the idea. Well, it's important for us to have people like you because you, and I hope you don't feel like I'm diminishing what you do in any way.
Not at all.
But your news that you give us is of the uplifting kind. It's not the hard-hitting, like, investigative, we've got to find out why someone has put, drugs in the tap water kind of thing, but more about charities, about a little bit of gossip.
Yeah.
We've got enough of that in DC, so definitely glad to have you on board.
Thank you. And we started the column Green and Glover in April, and we try to chronicle not only what's happening in Washington on the social scene, but also what happens when you get members of Congress and socialites and all the various people that are coming to Washington in greater numbers these days because of this Hollywood, we call it, the emergence of Hollywood into Washington. And so we're talking a lot about that in the column, and what makes it really special is that it's written in a very fun, uplifting, conversational way.
And a little bit cheeky.
A little bit cheeky, and I feel like I'm doing something right because I've already had a couple people defriend me on Facebook because of things that I've written.
Well, that's what I want to ask you about. I mean, what is the stigma of being a gossip columnist like? Do people not want to tell you things because they think they might see it in writing?
Well, PR people love me.
Of course.
Whenever I walk into an event, I get attacked by public relations people. But some people avoid me, but I mean, we're very fair and we have a lot of fun. And even though we say things that might be a little bit irreverent sometimes, we never say anything unkind. And I think people realize that we're just having fun with it, and we're just taking events that are happening around Washington and trying to pull out the interesting things that you want to be there, but if you're not able to come, here's what happened, and here's the things that were being talked about. For example, this is a really great example. You never see Supreme Court justices out. I mean, you never see them at a restaurant or anything.
You just see them in the robe, and that's about it.
Right.
Oh, I saw one once. I won't talk about it now. She might write about it.
Okay.
Well, this past Saturday night, I was down at the Kennedy Center for the opera opening, and I ran into Ruth Bader Ginsburg. So she and I were talking about her new colleague, Sonia Sotomayor, and she was telling me that the robes they have to wear are really tough to find for women. And she was telling me that her fashion advice to her new colleague was, if you want to find a robe, you got to go to London or Paris, which is where Justice Ginsburg had hers made. So those are the kind of stories that you're going to see in the column.
Is she going to send her for a wig after that as well?
Yeah. Yeah, and she also gave Justice Sotomayor a collar. So that's an example of the kind of thing that you're going to see in the column. Political figures, public officials, people that you read about on the front page, but in our column, which is in our plugged-in section on our arts page, you're going to see a whole new side of them.
Well, so you haven't ever cost anyone a job or anything like that?
Not that I know of, but give me time, Kate. Give me time.
Well, how would you react to that? I mean, they're not just taking you off Facebook. They may be really angry. Are you scared?
Well, I mean, no, because even though I have a lighter job, I mean, I guess my brand of journalism is lighter. I mean, it's still journalism, and so if we've got a story to tell and it's a legitimate story and we have sourcing to prove that it's legitimate and there is news value into it, then I'm going to report the story. And obviously we're going to give the other person a chance to tell his or her side of the story, but when it comes to the news, you can't be concerned about, obviously you want to be respectful of the person, but that's not always how we make our decisions. We make our decisions on what has news value and what can be of importance to and relevance to our readers.
And you talk a lot about being unbiased. Mm-hmm. I want to bring this up because you tell me quite often as a journalist, you, as PR people love you, and you may receive a lot of and not gifts, but maybe products to review, or just things that they just want to send you and say, hey, we had an extra umbrella from our event opening, or here's a gift bag, and you can't take them.
Right.
Well, tell me a little bit about that, and then we'll see if we agree.
Well, I mean, I guess a lot of different publications have different standards, but at the Washington Times, we have a policy that we don't accept swag. So when I go to a party and I'm given a swag bag, which is very typical, as you know, I decline it. And I guess the point of view is that we don't want to be seen as profiting from our work, and we don't want to be seen as being bought in any way, even though that's usually not the motive of the person giving it to you. They would just want to be nice. But and I cover fashion quite a bit, so we're given a lot of beauty products and this and that, and those aren't accepted.
Okay, well, I know you're not going to disagree with me here, and I know that the compensation for a journalist or reporter is not that high. So in the past, those small gifts were seen as the only kind of the thing that made you want to be a journalist was at least to get the small perks. So if you can't get the small perks,
What's
and there's
left?
Small perks, why do you still want to do it?
Well, I've wanted to be a journalist since I was a teenager. I started out writing for my high school newsletter, writing for the yearbook, and then I've always loved politics and journalism, so I'm doing what I love, and especially in this kind of fragile economy, to have a job in journalism is a big honor, and it's something that I thank God every day I can do. So, I mean, even though I'd love to be able to accept, fancy gifts, and I'd love to be able to, I mean, in the past, a lot of journalists went on these trips, like they would do press junkets and take you here and take you there. Not anymore. But even without all that, it's a very rewarding job, and I have a lot of fun doing what I'm doing, and not every day do you get to meet celebrities and go to fun parties and talk to people like a Supreme Court justice. So even without the perks, I still feel like I'm a very lucky person, especially in this economy. To have a job and then to have a job in my field makes me even more grateful.
Well, you brought up celebrities. Talk to me about Washington celebrities, because I think Washington celebrities is a big difference from what people consider celebrities in New York or LA.
Well, they say that Washington is like the ugly.
Don't say it. Don't say it. I know what she's going to say.
I call it East Coast Hollywood. East
Okay,
Coast
good.
Hollywood.
I like
That's
that
my
one.
way of looking at it.
Much better.
But for people like us who live in Washington, if you go out to dinner and you see a member of Congress, that's like seeing a celebrity, and that's sort of the geeky way of Washington. You think that a member of Congress or a cabinet official, or even someone like Jon Favreau, who is the Obama speechwriter, he's taken on this celebrity status. Desiree Rogers, the White House social secretary, I mean, my Lord, if you see her at an event, it's like she's Madonna. People just descend on her and ask her for autographs, and it's amazing to me how the people who work in the Obama administration, and I guess people who worked in the Bush administration too, but especially in this administration, have taken on this like godlike stature. It's like they're just treated like celebrities. So that gives us even more things to write about. So, in fact, I think Jon Favreau and Valerie Jarrett, who is one of the president's top advisors, were on like a list of the top eligibles in DC, so people want to date them.
Oh, I didn't see that list.
So
we'll go down that list later.
Yeah.
Well, Stephanie, we very rarely get to hear from someone who gets to meet all of the people that you get to meet, but we've enjoyed talking to you and getting your side of things.
Thank you.
And we'll be reading it.
Cool.
We do read it, but we'll be reading it every day at the Washington Times and in your column with Liz Glover, Green, and Glover.
And Twitter, we're on Twitter at twitter.com/Green and Glover, and then Liz and I are both on Facebook. And Liz sends her regards, but she is on her way back from New York, so we would both be here tonight, but she's
always covering the story.
She's on
Such
duty.
a hard life to live.
She's on duty tonight.
Well, thanks for being here while we cover our story here on this episode of The District Dish.